So hi, I'm Marcus, for the third time now. I want to talk to you about the future of search today. Search really has come a long way, and to anticipate the future, we have to understand the past. So let's start by decoding the past. Search engines used to be edited by humans, like the good old Yahoo directory, as we all know it. In 1994, Brian Pinkerton wrote the first web crawler, a pretty rudimentary search engine, which didn't offer a lot of results because it had only 25 websites indexed. But they eventually got bought by America Online in 1996 and got merged later on with Excite to power their search product. Another very successful search engine at that time, Lycos, which also started in 1994, had already 60 million documents indexed by 1997. And 2 years later, Lycos was even the world's most visited website. Anybody remember Lycos? So meanwhile, Yahoo, still powered by humans. In 1998, a search engine called Google saw the light of day, which started as a research project at the University of Stanford in 1996, with the revolutionary concept of PageRank, named after one of its founders, Larry Page, a more or less complicated formula based on links. You know that PageRank thinks of links as votes, and basically where page linking to another page is like casting a vote. And of course, they also look at the importance of either page, so a more important page can cast stronger votes. At least this is how it worked in the beginning. These days, it's a whole different ballgame. Actually, Google does over 500 algorithmical updates each year, so we're pretty busy. But it has really been a revolution, because at that time, search engines favored pages with high keyword density. So whoever had the most iterations of a particular keyword on its page got the highest search page results. And with Google, results were better. It was simple and clean. But Google didn't just revolutionize search. They also wanted to be the first ones to make a lot of money with it. So their mantra was not to just do it, but to do it right. So in 2000, they found a great way to monetize their ever-growing inventory of searches by introducing Google AdWords. You know, all these ads we know from all around the web. And this model of selling keyword advertising was originally pioneered by another company called Godoo.com. But the real stroke of genius was that they found an ingenious way to distribute their ads throughout the web. They bought a company called Applied Semantics, which was the cornerstone for their Google AdSense product, which was launched in the March of 2003. And by 2005, AdSense already accounted for an estimated 15% of Google's total revenues. And in 2007, we were already at 34%. Effectively filling their war chest for tackling the lucrative short hat within the ad market by acquiring DoubleClick in 2007, which seemed to fill exactly the holes in their market coverage. Google's revenues and also net margins are on a steady rise, as is their market share in search, with almost 2/3 of all searches in the US being performed with Google. But in other parts of the world, they're even more dominant, like here in India with 86%, the UK 89%. Here in Germany, it's 92%, just like in Australia. And 98% of all people living in Turkey use Google as their favorite search engine. That's over 5 billion searches every single day. That's probably as close to world domination as it can get, right? So, I know, I may sound like a huge Google fanboy, you know, I totally am, you know, but for different reasons, you know, without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. But it's not about me, you know, I just love to read a lot of patents and observe from a distance. So, and if you talk about the future of search, you just have to talk about Google. You have to understand where they're coming from and their strategy moving forward, because Google is driving innovation. As a matter of fact, I also love Microsoft. You know, there's a lot of friends working there, so you know, you gotta love them. But there's other search companies, you know, that seem to be trying to buy more market share. You know, although I loved Yahoo's move to buy Tandler. But for Google, at a point like this, you can't grow just by battling for single-digit points of market share. But thank God, computing also evolved. In the 60s, we had the mainframe computing. In the 70s, we had mini computing. Don't ask me why they called it mini back then. And the 80s were, well, not just the age of very questionable fashion, but most notably the age of the personal computer. And in the 90s, desktop internet computing began its rise, and you could finally search for cat photos from the comfort of your own home. Great. And thanks to Apple, we're now really in the mobile internet age. And it's really a mobile revolution going on. And mobile internet usage is on a steady climb. And again, Google seems to have found the perfect strategy by introducing Android, which does it quite a bit better in the OS market by distributing a free-for-all mobile OS, which led to another very dominating position with almost 80% of all smartphones now running on Android. Actually, just 1 year ago, Hugo Barra, who was Google's VP for Android product management, announced the 500 millionth, I'm sorry, English is hard, the 500 millionth activated Android device, with over 1.3 million added every single day. So Android seems to be everywhere these days. You know, resistance is futile, you be assimilated. You think I'm taking this too far? You know, check out this picture. You know, there's some kind of resemblance here, right? Seriously. But no, it's not about selling cell phones. You know, it's about people searching. Because search is the most visited website via a smartphone. It's actually 77%. And guess which one they're using? And we're actually pretty close to a historic moment. Check out this tweet. Mobile traffic to Google will very soon pass desktop traffic to Google. Mobile is growing faster than anyone realizes. And that's Matt Cutts from Google who said that, and, well, he should know. Because mobile internet usage is just great in all those situations when we are bored. You know, 59% use mobile internet while waiting in line, while commuting, while in the bathroom. You know, probably the most predestined location for mobile internet use. They use it in church, even in the shower. Seriously, is somebody in here, with 12%, there should be someone here, is somebody in here who uses a cell phone in the shower? I really want to meet someone like this, because I can't even imagine how that works. Oh, really? Oh my God, we got to talk later, dude. So, I can't even understand people who use a radio in the shower. You know, those little shower radios? I mean, I guess there's no better place to dance than a slick surface next to a glass door. So, and 9% use it during sex, you know, talk about boredom. So we all love our mobiles. 43% of all smartphone users would even give up beer for mobile internet. You know, not here in Munich during Oktoberfest, you know, but it does. And 36% of all people would give up chocolate. You know, my newlywed wife would never do this. 26% of all women would really get rid of high heels. And that would mean that every 1 in 4 women would deny oneself wearing high heels. Google has really become a mobile-first company. And why do you think they are building driverless cars? It's not about selling cars, you know? There's just a lot of people commuting by car every day, you know? Time that they can't spend searching on Google or using any of its other products. When you are having a driverless car, you now have a lot of spare time again. And guess what most people would do with this newfound time in a still very boring situation of commuting through traffic? And using one of their latest acquisitions, Waze, they can even, well, warn you of potential hazards ahead of time and even point out the cheapest gas stations. Well, another great opportunity for monetizing those driverless cars. And same as Google Glasses, you know, okay, that was like an early version, was pretty awkward, but this is the one we all know it. And all of a sudden, we can now search in all those moments where we don't have our hands free. Don't let go. And making all these real-world user experience even searchable. So if you would be wearing those all the time, you could eventually search your whole life. You know, great for winning arguments. You know, I know we said we meet at 9. You know, so they give out cheap laptops. They're becoming a high-speed ISP in some parts of the world. They're trying to make whole cities fiber spaces. And they actually just announced that they're partnering with Starbucks now and powering their Starbucks Wi-Fi. But it's not only computing that evolved. Search also evolved. Search behavior, search needs, search expectation, especially around current events. You know, something like the bird flu, something which doesn't get searched, and all of a sudden you have a lot of people searching for a particular keyword. And Google says that about 1/3 of all searches require some sort of fresh results. That matches almost exactly what Yahoo is saying in a patent about incorporating recency into search results, where they say that experiments indicate that approximately 34.6% of the collected network resources are considered to be recency sensitive. It's really about when you're at a push and can't wait for a page to attract links to, well, to assess it the old-fashioned way. And you also need a different set of results. So when Amy Winehouse died, and you were searching on Google for Amy Winehouse, you couldn't care less about a search result from Wikipedia, you don't really want to watch one of her videos on YouTube, and you also probably don't want to buy her latest album on either iTunes or Amazon. You want to know one single thing: what happened? And their new search index, Caffeine, made that possible, getting rid of a static index and provide dynamic and fresh results. Add some social media into the mix and also track exactly who's clicking what to learn which results really provide value. Search expectation changed, and search engines have no recourse but to respond. Questions. Questions are also a huge challenge for search engines. To be able to answer the question how tall Justin Bieber is, you have to understand natural language. And it's about objectively identifying entities, Justin Bieber being the entity here. Because having the exact question written on a page might make you, well, a good-looking search result, but it doesn't mean that there's the answer to that question in near sight. It actually is on that page. It's right down there, and it takes me about 5 seconds to find that. And Google wants to answer the most common questions regarding entities right away using their knowledge graph. It's not only about finding what you're searching for, you also want to find answers as quickly as possible. And this works for all sorts of different kinds of entities: persons, companies, even places. Actually, Bing, just this Monday, they just revamped their knowledge graph, and it looks amazing. It looks really good. Great job, Bing. A lot better than Google's. But questions are really hard. Amit Singhal shared his dream at Google I/O when he said that the key to this is when you can have a Star Trek Google phone where you can say, "Google, tell me how Alfred Nobel made his money." You know, would be great, but we're not even close to that yet. But because for this to happen, we need to understand rather than index. And structured data helps if it's coming from schema.org or Open Graph from Facebook. And there's also other companies that are facing the same challenge. Microsoft, for example, is also interested in answering the questions their users are having. So they bought PowerSet in 2008 for $100 million. Apple bought Siri for $200 million. And IBM has something pretty cool in its store as well, a supercomputer named Watson who even beat Jeopardy. But let's look forward into the future. Sergey Brin put it into a nutshell. My vision when we started Google 15 years ago was that eventually you wouldn't have to have a search query at all. You would just have information come to you as you need it. And for this to work, you have to have two main components: personalization and context. Moving from a web search to a contextual search. Basically combine explicit search queries with implicit aspects like your current location, for example. And Search Plus Your World, which can be toggled on and off, laid the foundation for their revamped effort to making search more personal. The Venice update enhanced the localization of the user performing a search in terms of how their results are shaped, all leading to Google Now, which tries to show you cards with information you need throughout the day before you even have to ask, like an info regarding an upcoming trip or a flight. But it doesn't stop here. Google has also bought a company called Behavio, which built a so-called open sensing framework called FUNF. And the framework tries to predict what a user might do next based on the current and last states of various sensors on their phone. So they collect all sorts of different information regarding your daily activities, like the most visited locations, which gets even more fun with Android's activity recognition client, which tries to predict if a user is walking, riding a car, or riding a bike. And when you have all this data, you can start trying to predict user behavior. You're basically trying to find out if the user is interested in an event, and then you correlate the observed user interest with an increase in activity, and then you provide the information that you have already gathered beforehand. I give you a for instance right out of the patent. Let's say on Tuesday nights, you're always going to the movie theater with your friends. Google knows you're driving to this location every Tuesday at 9 p.m. So when Google sees you're moving towards that very same movie theater, like every Tuesday, they could start gather current movie listings, maybe even some ratings from my friends who share common interests with me, la la la. And then you compile a card with all that information and offer it to me. There's so much ease for your everyday life here, you know. Maybe you're taking the subway to this movie theater wearing your Google glasses. So Google will start gather information regarding your route, warn you right in time, and even offer alternate routes and other options. That's pretty helpful and time-saving, you know, like a very, very personal assistant. And this is a great thing, because if you ever get hooked, you're never ditching this assistant again, you know, and Google wins. And well, you know, all this information is not only very interesting and also valuable to Google. You know, with that amount of information you're giving out, you will see some very targeted ads. But maybe this information is also interesting to other companies, you know. Like Obama just recently said they're only trying not to spy on US citizens. Yay. So we here in the rest of the world have to decide whether we want to give all this very detailed data about our everyday life to a US-based company. But hey, you know, I'm still a geek. I'm a search nerd, you know, I love this shit. I can't wait for this inevitable future to come. I'm a realist, you know. I don't think that now that we are all aware and angry, all the Secret Service organizations from all around the world are now stopping being, you know, trying to spy on us. And maybe feeling watched might make the world a little bit more honest. You know, there's really a really cool future waiting. Just imagine a lot of people wearing Google glasses, watching a historic event to be from a lot of different angles, and streaming live to the internet. And maybe you have a map. Maybe you have a map and you can click and you can choose different people and their respective views. You know, you could be watching a historic event live through the eyes of someone else. That's pretty cool. That's pretty dope. All right, now that I think of it, probably concert and sport event promoters will not like that, you know. Good luck banning all these devices, which will keep getting smaller and smaller. But you know, I just became a dad, and he's 4 months old now. And I can imagine, you know, that when he's 14, he will be like, oh my God, Dad, you still had the first generation iPhone. You know, you still had to type the numbers and not just, I don't know, just think them. and this is it, you know, what is state of the art today looks very old tomorrow. It's this madman moment, you know, the series, you know, where they are smoking all the time. They even light up in the doctor's office, and that's it. When we look back, you know, in a few years, when we look back at this time, it will feel like the Stone Age. And that's it, you know. I know the future of search might sound a bit scary, but it makes a lot of sense for this evolution to happen. And so maybe the only advice I can give you guys is be aware. This is slide number 209. Thank you very much.